Piper Sandler initiating coverage on Palantir with an overweight rating. That firm noting the stock as a high-risk investment, but highlighting the company as an AI secular winner. Here to break it down for us is Piper Sandler, co-head of technology research. That would be Brent Bracelin. Brent, it is always great to see you. So let's get right into this, Brent. You initiate Palantir with an overweight. You're a believer, Brent, a new platform powering the AI revolution, you say. Just walk us through why this is a Brent buy. How do you explain it to your clients?
Yeah, most expensive stock on our coverage list at 52-week highs. Why are we overweight? Why do we like this business? And I think it's important to note that, one, our price targets are kind of 1 year out, and two, we've seen the stock that's acted very volatile, right? 20% to 29% drawdowns over the last 5 years. You've had the stock down 12% the day after earnings in Q1, but we don't really think that's all that important. What really matters is how big this company can get. And that's where we spend a lot of our due diligence and a lot of our time trying to understand what is Palantir, what do they do, why it's so special. And in the end, we really think this is a secular AI winner. We're going to put it in the same camp as private AI secular winners like an Anthropic or an OpenAI for a different reason. And what they do that's special is they really have created a platform that's going to help people build new AI applications. And the popularity of that is what was shocking to me. We did some due diligence in June. We went to a Databricks conference. We went to a SAP Sapphire conference. We're talking standing room only for large enterprise customers that want to do more, learn more, engage with Palantir. If you look at Palantir, say 5 years ago, they were competing in some cases with the likes of Databricks. They were competing in some cases with the likes of Accenture and Deloitte. These companies now have turned from competitors to partners. And so I really think that there's a sea change relative to the opportunity around Palantir. Does that mean the stock is going to go straight up from here? Probably not. There's going to be volatility. There's going to be lots of opportunities to get involved here. But we do think this is going to be one of the key app platforms. It's addressing $2 trillion separate, distinct markets, common platform, common shared R&D, but two really big secular opportunities in defense and enterprise.
The pushback, as you well know, Brent, I want to get your thoughts on this, has been on valuation. I talked to Brent Till over at Jefferies, and you know Brent, smart guy like yourself. And I remember Brent telling me, listen, he likes the company and he likes the technology, and listen, the fundamentals, he says, look solid. But I think he actually referred to it as an irrational valuation. It's just too pricey, he said, which is why he has the equivalent of a sell on it. How do you respond to that, Brent?
Listen, there's no doubt this is a very, very richly valued company. It's the most highly valued company in this space. And so what you have to underwrite is the long term. And the long term isn't a straight line up. There's variances, and that's what we're kind of betting on, is you're going to get a chance to buy this stock lower, but it should be a stock that you can buy. This is a company now that is top 25 weighting in the S&P 500. So one way to cheat is you can buy the index and take a small ownership stake in Palantir without taking that valuation risk, right? Company-specific risk. So if you own the index, the S&P 500 index, you own a little bit of Palantir. Our view is the next year, there will be opportunities, there'll be buying opportunities, be patient, but this has the potential, we think, to be a AI secular winner, to be one of the key platforms. We're talking about a sector looking at cloud software where there are zero 30% public growers next year. We think Palantir can be in a universe of one. So yes, we're treating this a little differently. We're looking kind of at the lens of what could this be worth? What's the art of the possible? If you're not comfortable with looking out 5 or 10 years, it's going to be really hard to justify valuation on this one.
Brent, who would you consider the competition here? Who would you consider Palantir's rivals?
So if you look at what's driving this business, there's two secular trends, and these are the competitors. On one hand, you have defense, and for the last 30, 40 plus years, the defense industry has largely spent about $1 trillion globally, largely spent money on big machines, proprietary software. We're seeing a secular shift away from spending on big machines, big tanks, to small drones and AI software. That we're still very early. We think this government business today, $2 billion, just in looking out a few years, 2030, we think it's going to 5x to 10 billion. And that's just the beginning. This is a 2-decade cycle where we're going to shift spending, $1 trillion worth of defense spending in a completely different area. Palantir's leading that charge there. That's the first secular trend. Second secular trend is on enterprise. As we think about competitors in the enterprise, we've had a 30-year pendulum swing towards buying prepackaged software. Historically, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, people built their own software. A lot of custom software. Today, custom software is about 24% of the $1 trillion enterprise software market. We think there's a pendulum swing back, especially with AI tools, towards custom builds. So in some cases, the competition for Palantir is prepackaged software. If I'm a large enterprise, I can go out and buy prepackaged software from the likes of the traditional application vendors, or I can build it myself using some AI tools, using my own data. And that's kind of the competition. Pendulum swinging back to custom, they're going to be one of those platforms that enables large companies like Citi, large companies like Wendy's to build their own apps.
Final question, Brent. I talk to CEO Alex Karp every quarter. We always check in, talk earnings. He's a different kind of guy. I'm curious, you've covered companies for a long time. When you think about Palantir's leadership, its culture, does it dovetail with other companies you cover, Brent? Is it different? How would you characterize it?
Unconventional. The whole journey with this business is unconventional. The idea that this was a defense tech startup in its origins and sued the U.S. Army, that's nothing I would recommend doing to try to building a healthy business, right? But they sued and won. They didn't sue and won because they thought they were treated unfairly. They sued to change the process of how the government selects not just Palantir software, but anyone's software. The best software, the best technology should be selected, not by the historical way it was being selected. That same process, the idea that the government, $1 trillion defense spend globally, should buy the best tech, is now also going to be a process change, procurement change across all government agencies. And that happened with the presidential executive order that was signed in April. So we're at the beginning of a whole change in the process of what type of technologies government's going to buy. And I think that's underappreciated. But yes, very unconventional management team, unconventional journey, how they got here. I think it will remain probably unconventional going forward.
I think Dr. Karp would appreciate the unconventional characterization. I think so. Brent, we are always lucky to have you on the show. Thank you, sir.
Enjoyed having me.